My name is Natalie, and I'm the owner and lead authenticator at Her Authentic. I started my business a few years ago when I was looking into buying a luxury bag and I was scammed myself. So I figured there has to be someone doing this and doing it to protect both the buyer and the seller. Today's video is dedicated to the new trend, which is buying and selling on Facebook groups. As someone who was originally on Poshmark when it first was created, the fees lately have gotten out of hand. Poshmark is now charging 20%, eBay is at 10% plus PayPal's 3% to make it 13%, and Tradesy just made an increase and is now about 19% because they need to spend money on advertising. So with that being said, people lately don't feel safe buying locally on Craigslist, Letgo, and OfferUp, and they're shifting their purchasing and selling to Facebook groups, whether this is local Facebook groups or buying and selling groups that require shipping. This video is going to give you some tips from a buyer standpoint and a seller standpoint on how to make sure that you get the item you paid for, and as a seller, you're protected throughout this process. I hope that you find this video entertaining as well as educational, and I hope you will subscribe to my channel to find more tips on buying and selling online. When looking into a payment method, there are several ways of how to check out for a transaction. You can use Venmo, the Cash App, and PayPal. As a business owner and as a consumer myself, I only suggest, and the only website I use is PayPal.com. The reason is they charge a flat more or less 3% and 4% for international, and they offer buyer and seller protection. What this means is, as a buyer, if you never get the item, you will be covered under PayPal transaction protection. And if you are a seller and the buyer says they never got the item, you are protected as well. It is the only website that is recommended for goods and services. Venmo and the Cash App are more for personal transactions if you're paying back a friend for dinner or if you're buying locally something used. So with that being said, we're just going to dive into how to protect yourself as a buyer. So some quick tricks that I've learned through this trade is always trust your gut. There is such thing as a good deal, but there is no such thing as someone giving their items away. I specifically do high-end handbags. For example, if there is a $3,000 purse for sale that someone is selling for $500 because they're getting a divorce, that could be true, but more than likely my gut would say it's a scam, and that is the case. So what you should do in these scenarios is ask for a picture with the person's name and today's date next to it, or I always ask them to write something random. I'll have them write my pet's name and today's day or my favorite food. I always put my business card next to all of my listings. People can go on here and they can see my feedback, they can see my reviews and all of that, and as well as it becomes recognized with my item as well as my brand. Second thing is backgrounds. Does the first picture have a wood tile floor and the second picture is carpet and the third picture is outside? That's your first red flag. Pictures are usually consistent. Someone takes an item out and they photograph it and then they list it the same day. So that should be consistent. Is in one picture a man's hand and in the second is a woman's fingernail? That's another red flag. Do all the pictures look the same? Does it start with one item and then it ends with another? Basically, trust your gut. Secondly, as a buyer, always ask for references. Don't be scared to say, I am interested in the item, but I want to see some of your feedback. Ask for someone they've dealt with before, and don't be scared to send them a message and make sure that they are happy with their purchase. Don't be scared of asking too many questions. More than once, buyers jump into a purchase because they feel that they're just nagging and asking too many questions. You're putting your hard-earned money out there, so you should ask as many questions as you want. The seller should be understanding and should work with you to answer these questions. Always ask for condition. I'm allergic to cats, for example, so I always ask if the items are from a cat-free home or a pet-free home, and as well as cigarette smoke. Don't be scared to ask those questions, as for me, it is a deal breaker. Secondly, if the seller asks you for something that you would consider unsafe, that should be a red flag. Is the seller asking you to do a Wells Fargo SurePay transfer? Are they asking you to send money via Western Union or the Square app? All of that is a red flag. You can do one of two things. Maybe get a good deal and get scammed, Or play it safe and pay on PayPal. If the seller is willing to pay on PayPal, then that's a good sign that they're not in it to scam you. On PayPal, there's a different way to do transactions known as friends and family. While this is frowned upon on PayPal, people do this all the time, myself included. However, with that being said, it is at your own risk. What does that mean? Again, do it with references. You can do it, and 9 out of 10 times it is fine. But that one time that someone gets scammed, they will not be protected. It takes a long time to fight with your bank and maybe your credit card to get that money back. All right, so you've agreed to a price. The seller sends you an invoice and you go ahead and pay. We're gonna jump now to the seller standpoint and how they should successfully buy and sell. So as a seller, you should also get references from your buyer. There's a lot of buyers that are very, very picky, and I personally wouldn't deal with them. So in that case, just make sure to get references. Ask a few sellers who have sold to them, and if that has gone well. If that has, by all means, send the invoice and go ahead and complete the sale. So the buyer has now paid for the item and you're ready to ship. What do? I always, as a seller, ask for any kind of special requirements my buyer has. For example, do they want the bag to be shipped flat or stuffed? Do they want it to be shipped to their work or their home office? No matter what, make sure you ask those questions before you invoice them, because the address you ship to must be on the PayPal confirmed buyer address. If it is not there and it is not a confirmed address, PayPal will not protect you. There are so many cases when I go to confirm a buyer's address and they say, oh no, I put my home address and I actually want it shipped to my work. No problem. In that case, you do one of two things. You say, I can refund you, invoice again, and then you can go ahead and pick the right address. Or for less work for both of us, can we just ship to the address that you already selected? If that is the case, proceed. Now it comes time to the shipping. There's 3 main carriers, I would say, being FedEx, UPS, and USPS. Having shipped about 50 items a month now for 5 years, I would say UPS and FedEx are not small business friendly, and compared to USPS, they have higher pricing. So considering profit margins and, of course, the cost of an item, I prefer USPS. They have a priority rate service that's 2 days, and honestly, I would say 95% of the time, it is on time. Always make sure to get signature, and depending on the value of your goods, I would suggest insurance. We live in a rainy state down here, so it could actually rain, the box can get damaged, or never make it to its final location. In that case, PayPal says they will protect you, but I suggest getting insurance. I have been in a situation where an item did not deliver to the person and I was out the money because I did not insure it. So lesson learned, make sure to insure it. I resell, so the items I sell are typically less than the retail price. For example, if I sell an item that has a $3,000 retail price and I sold it for $1,000, I don't insure it for the $3,000. I insure it for the sale price, which would be $1,000, because that would be all that I would be liable to reimburse to the buyer. So that brings me to the last part. So you've gone ahead and shipped your item. What now? PayPal actually has a clause that someone can make a claim up to 180 days after they receive the item. So what I do to be proactive and ensure a smooth sale is I always follow up with the buyer. I track the shipment and make sure it shows delivered or signed for and delivered, and I send them a quick message. Have you received the item? Are you happy? I wait for them to say, no, I missed the delivery, I'm picking it up tomorrow, finally to, hey, I got it and I love it. Perfect. What you should always do is add the tracking number to PayPal. Once the tracking number shows delivered, go to the USPS.com website and screenshot that and save that in your files. I was told by a PayPal representative that USPS recycles their tracking number every couple of months. So in a few months, if someone does a claim against you and you have to prove it was delivered, it might not be there. So it really doesn't hurt to take that extra step and go ahead and screenshot that it's been delivered. I also save the hard copy of the receipts from USPS, and I'm a little OCD, so I save them for about 2 years and then I discard them. So save those 2 things, just to be safe. I hope this video was pretty useful, and I hope you will subscribe and watch more of my videos. I'm going to do a couple different ones tailored to buying and selling locally as well from Facebook groups that are local, as well as buying and selling on OfferUp, LetGo, and Craigslist, as well as some reviews and for sale posts for items I have for sale. Thank you so much for your time and have a great day.